Welcome, everybody, to episode 3 of the Canuckleheads podcast. We got a lot to go over today. We're going to start with Jonah Gadgeovich, the man we spent a lot of time talking about last episode, being claimed by the San Jose Sharks on waivers. It is October 7th, 2021. He was placed on waivers yesterday, and the Sharks snagged him from us after we spent an episode talking about how excited we were for him.
And this really triggered me because you texted me, said he was on waivers, and I thought instantly, oh no, here we go. And then sure enough, my buddy from work comes up, shows me the phone, Sharks acquired him. Then I look at my phone, you texted me the same thing. I was like sick to my stomach. I was like, oh my God, we just lost a great player.
I was pretty unhappy about it too. But you got to figure if the team sent him down, like, there's obviously some flaws.
There's a reason for it, and that's the thing. Our lineup's so full right now, like we just can't. We don't have enough space, and it sucks because if we did have the space, he would have been slotted into the lineup. It's just we have so many guys right now.
And another thing that's difficult too, right, is they kept McEwen.
Yeah,
he hasn't been cut yet. He's still on the roster, and like no disrespect to Big Mac, because me and Wes are on the same page. Like we love Big Mac. Gadgeovich has done way more than him this year. And like to only get into 2 preseason games and then get put on waivers.
Yeah, that's a little crazy for me.
Yeah, like we were talking last episode, I think I said I want to see him in our last 3 preseason games.
Yeah, and I was saying I want him in the lineup.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
And neither of those things are going to fucking happen.
But DiGiuseppe honestly really impressed me. I really like his game, and I wouldn't mind seeing him in the lineup.
Yeah, I think as far as the lineups go, especially with the practice lineups, I think we know 95% of the roster for opening night. But yeah, very disappointed about Jonah Gadgeovich. Also, new mic, new camera. Wes dropped a lot of cash, so hopefully it looks a lot better and sounds a lot better. We should probably go over, there were a couple issues last podcast with the camera. With the mic. The camera, that's just our fault. That was just a stupid mistake. The mic, we can't really fix what happened there. It just kind of
cut out.
Unfortunately, has to stay like that. So hopefully things run a lot more smoothly now and it looks better. So one thing I want to start talking about right now too is the schedule. I think the next time we do one of these, we'll be covering regular season hockey. So the way the Canucks kick off their season, I have this saved here because I wanted to complain about it. So we start in Edmonton next Wednesday on October 13th, which is fine. And then we go to Philly, the 6-game road trip, which again, that's fine. But so we go to Philly, then we go to Detroit the next night, then to Buffalo on the following Tuesday, then Chicago, then Seattle. I don't understand, like, if we go to Philly, how come we can't go to Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
If we go to Buffalo, why can't we do the Rangers and the Islanders or the Devils? You know, like, I get that there's other venues and sporting events that happen in some of the arenas, but I don't understand why we can't have a more
fluent schedule.
Yeah, instead of, like,
it's so choppy.
Yeah,
like we're flying all over the place. It's like, come on, like let's just bang out the games close, like near to where we're at.
Yeah,
and then let's move out. You know,
and then, like because the Canucks historically have had the worst like travel schedule because they're so far out on the West Coast.
Yep.
Which like it's fine. It's just part of the game.
It's part
but,
of it.
Like the NHL could definitely
accommodate
help us out a little bit on that.
100%.
I don't understand Philly, Detroit back to back. When like Pittsburgh is right there, or do like Toronto, Detroit, or something like that. You know, like that's just like not as much travel.
Help us out a little bit.
Yeah, but that's just one thing.
Come on, NHL.
That bothered me a little bit,
But one thing also about that schedule is Greener was kind of pumped that the boys were going to get a big road trip because he thinks that the team will bond a bit more. with the restrictions kind of calming down a little bit, plus all of them being vaccinated, they should get the bond and hopefully bring them closer together, and then we can have a nice, strong team for the start of the season.
Yeah, it is good to kick it off on the road, and we don't have a crazy packed schedule the first 2 weeks, so hopefully we'll get some practices in too.
100%.
That kind of killed us last year. I think the first month of the season last year, I want to say we had like 5 practices. And,
I don't even think it was that many.
Yeah, and everybody knows how bad the Canucks season was last year.
And we're a team that needs practice. 110%. Like, our boys need to practice to feel in game shape, and that's why we looked so bad last season. Like, I think you're going to see a big, big difference this season. Yeah,
and like, not to make excuses, but again, this is a Canucks podcast, so they were bad. Like, there was just a lot of bad hockey the team played, but they didn't get
a fair shake whatsoever. We were the most... Basically, we had the worst schedule out of any team, and everyone knows that. So,
and like, we got COVID, which didn't do us any favors. So just in the last half of the season, that really packed our schedule that much more. So like, we had 2 games on a Wednesday and Tuesday at like 3:00. So. But so we kind of went over a couple of the things I wanted to talk about. So let's do a review of a couple of preseason games here that we had. We're recording this early, by the way. It's Thanksgiving, Canadian Thanksgiving this weekend, so we figured we'd get an episode done so we don't have to do this over like Skype or something and have it be real weird and difficult.
Yeah, I'm just banging it out a little bit early for you guys so that it still drops on Monday.
So really the only thing that we're missing out is a preseason game against Edmonton. And I actually think they play another one Sunday night too. So I don't know if we'll cover those or not because we'll have real regular season hockey to talk about on the next episode. So we'll see. If anything major happens, we'll talk about it because we're going to watch them anyway. But so October 3rd, we had the Vancouver Canucks against the Winnipeg Jets in Vancouver. The first game back in the Canucks home barn with fans. So that was really nice to have fans back. Even, again, it's half capacity, but they make a big impact on the game.
100%.
So before this game, I wanted to see Rathbone, Poolman, OEL, Carson Vogt, and Podkolzin. One thing I had noted here that they had Pierce, Horvat, and Hoglander as a line, which I think is kind of set in stone to be our second line again this year.
And I was throwing a lot of shots at Tanner Pearson in the first episode, and rightfully so, because his game was shaky in the end of that season, but a lot of our guys' game was shaky.
Yeah.
And he has just slowly but surely been earning that spot back. I mean, the guy's been unreal in the preseason every game he's played, so I can't throw no chirps his way. If he earns that spot, that's his. That's all I have to say about that.
And Pearson kind of, like, he had an okay season, like every other Canuck, basically. But he's also kind of at that age where you're, like, waiting for the decline a little bit. Like, he plays a fairly physical brand of hockey. He was on those Kings teams that made a couple runs. So that's heavy, hard-hitting hockey right there. So, you know who really knows how long he's got before he starts breaking down just from so many games. But he has looked good this year. And, like, that's another thing I have noted to go over, so we'll kind of just cut in right now. I think that the additional wingers that the Canucks brought in this offseason are pushing him to be better.
That's exactly what I think, too. I think he sees all these young guns. He sees the Gadgeovich guys. He sees all these guys that are ready to take his spot.
He saw Gadgeovich.
Sorry. My bad. But he sees these young guns that are hungry for that position.
Yeah.
And he knows, like, okay, I got to elevate my game to keep my spot. And he's done that.
Yeah. And last year, you know, who was putting on pressure on Pearson, right? Like,
zero.
Fucking Louis Eriksson?
Yeah, not happening. Nope.
Antoine Roussel?
Nope.
No? Like, nobody's going to take his spot. So, yeah, I think this has been good for him, especially being shipped out in LA, right? Like, he kind of saw that already.
Yeah.
Like, the next wave coming in, we got to start rebuilding. So he doesn't, I think, like, he's a smart guy probably. He doesn't want to be shipped out again. And you know,
I totally agree. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, so I think he's going to have a good season. And yeah. Another thing I have, OEL and Tucker Poolman were pairing again. So that kind of, it looks like they want that to be a thing, even though I don't think it will be with the Hamonic situation. But that's what was rolling against the Jets here. We had a goal from Mr. Beaufort William Scorvat.
That's what he does.
It was just a great play from Hoglander. He negated an icing. He out-hustled a defenseman and made the goalie have to play the puck. I don't remember his name. It was a backup goalie. Sorry, Jets fans. But yeah, and then it was, again, great pass from Tanner Pearson to set up Bo for a goal. Good pass from behind the net out to Bo in the slot.
An absolute beauty.
Yep. And then I just have a note here that line dominated the first period. I think they spent minimal time in the defensive zone and were all over the Jets, who granted dressed a pretty AHL lineup, so take from it what you will, but you still want to see that line looking good against lesser competition.
Yeah, and another thing that I mentioned in the first pod was that I didn't feel like Tanner Pearson was really setting Bo up enough. And then, boom, he's like, okay, maybe he listened to the pod. I don't know if he did. Tanner, I love you. You're doing your thing now.
Shout out to Pierce.
Exactly. That's exactly what we need you to do, and Bo will get a lot more points this season, and that's what I like to see.
Yeah. And I have a note here, Conor Garland was playing again, and he had a nice hit on a much bigger defenseman. I don't remember the name of the guy, but he's like 6'4". Garland's like a 5'8", 5'9" kind of guy, and he leveled him.
Which the knock on Garland is that he falls down easily.
Didn't look like it there.
Didn't look like it there to me, so.
Yeah. After the hit, he just good effort to keep control of the puck and set up a play in front. It didn't really, it led to a scoring chance. Somebody whiffed on the puck and nothing came of it, but it's just good effort from a little guy. Which,
yeah, 100%. But he's got a ton of fight in his game.
Yeah, I don't think being small is a negative thing in the NHL anymore. Maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when you could just get absolutely destroyed by Scott Stevens or something. But now the game is different. There's not that many devastating hits, and players are so smart and just so fast, and they move the puck so well that you don't really see anybody get leveled too often.
And that's the thing, as long as you have a little bit of fire in your game, there's plenty of room for you in the NHL. So
100%. So Conor Garland, little man, we're welcome. We're happy to have you. So we had a goal by Nick Patan. Nice shot. He sniped that one. Nick Patan we'll talk about too. He's been okay. He's putting up points, but you don't really ever notice him. He's just kind of there. Sometimes he tries to do too much himself in the offensive zone and just winds up turning the puck over.
Do you have the Rathbone breakdowns in here where he hit that drop pass and completely whiffed and got intercepted, and then he had another pass that was completely intercepted? I talked a lot about Rathbone. I was so high on Rathbone. Better not be doing that stuff during the regular season. I think it was obviously two mistakes that were made where he knew he could have done better there, but
he's also played every preseason game too, so maybe that's getting to him a little bit. But
for sure.
No, I don't have these here.
Okay.
Little peek behind the curtain here. You fucking told me you didn't watch this game.
No, I watched the highlights, not gonna lie, boys. I watched the highlights. I had to go get my dog that day, so I didn't watch the game. But when I seen that on the highlights, I was like, Rathbone, you let me down. Let's go, baby. But, he's a young guy. He's going to learn. So, I think he seen OEL's little drop pass to Bo the other night. And he was like, let me try a little bit of that. And it just didn't work out for him. So
I do have it noted here, actually, Rathbone. Bad turnovers.
Yeah, so, there we go. Yeah.
And Patan, too. They had him on the power play. I think it was this game or the game before. And he just kind of stands there and waits for a one-timer when he doesn't have the puck. He's just got...
That's poor.
Yeah, he's just got his stick cocked and basically showing you his hand.
Yeah.
Which, if you're Petey or you're Ovi, a guy that doesn't matter, if you just get the puck on net, you're going to score.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Totally different situation.
Yeah, show me a little bit more than that if they're going to give you that opportunity.
Yeah.
I think Patan is probably on the roster, but I'm not impressed, and I'm not
neither am I.
Get rid of him. You know what I mean?
I would have way rather had Gadgeovich.
Yeah. I had Will Lockwood. I thought he was really good tonight. He was really physical, which I know was part of his game in college, to the point where he was actually injuring himself a couple times. So that was the kind of question on him towards the end of his college career, is if he can play on that edge but not destroy his own body. So he looked good. He almost benched a guy. First game where I was like, okay, Lockwood, I see you here, you know.
Yeah.
You drew a penalty, which is what you want to see, you know, especially if you're going for a fourth line role. Like, if you can buy some power play time, like, I think that goes a long way. Rathbone, bad turnovers. Wes talked about that.
Sorry, boys. Had to bring that one up quick. It just popped in my head, and I just remembered that highlight, and I was like, why?
I'm glad you remember that, because I totally forgot. I wouldn't have remembered that just from my note here. So then we have a goal from the ever popular Tanner Pearson, just popping up 24/7.
Let's go, baby.
Again, it was a good effort from Niels Hoglander. He won 2 puck battles, got the puck back to Pearson, and
it's exactly why he's on that line. Bo was the guy who always had to win those corner battles, always had to win those board battles. Get Bo in front of the net. He's a way better goal scorer. Just make Hog battle for those pucks, and he's more than happy to do that.
Yep.
Dish it out front to Bo, you got a goal. 10 times out of 10.
Just my last bit on here. It was just a solid game overall by the Canucks. Like, what you want to see too when you're. That's kind of been the trend this year and probably most years for preseason hockey, right? If you're the away team, you're gonna dress a rookie lineup, a lesser experienced lineup. If you're the home team, you're rolling like a pretty experienced lineup. So it was just a good game, and you don't want to see your team get dominated at home by the away team. So good job for the Canucks there. Alex Chason, I am done with him.
I didn't like him already. I seen him on Edmonton, and for some reason, sometimes I just look at a guy and I know I don't like him.
Oh, I agree with you.
And that's Chason. I'm sorry. I don't know if you're going to see this or not, Chason, but I just don't like you. I don't want you on the Vancouver Canucks. I'm sorry, bud.
I don't either. Like, he brings very little at like 5-on-5. He's slow. He hasn't looked very engaged at all. He's just been kind of thrown on the power play and not really done anything either. I don't want to waste a roster spot. I don't want to waste salary cap space on him. I'm just kind of done with him. Like, when we talked about starting this, I said I don't really want to like bash any players and be super negative.
And that's what I said too. Yeah. I respect the hell out of anyone who can make it to the NHL level. It's just when you see the game and you see the potential of these other guys, and then he gets a spot over them, it just kind of puts a sour taste in your mouth.
Like, we just got rid of Louis Eriksson, so we're okay.
100%.
All right, sorry about the cut, everybody. New camera, we got to kind of manage a little bit here.
Yep.
So, that was the Canucks 4-3 over the Winnipeg Jets. The next game we have against the Seattle Kraken. I believe this was also in Vancouver. This one wound up 4-0 Seattle. They dressed what'll most likely be their NHL roster. This was their last preseason game, which is kind of weird that they're done so early. Like, we still have another 5 days of preseason hockey, so...
And I don't want to blame Greener for anything, because I love Greener. I think he's the best coach for this team. It's just, I really felt like we could have had a couple more key elements out there just to kind of help us through that game. We kind of got slaughtered out there, and I don't know, I just wasn't impressed with the lineup he put out there. Didn't put Garland out there, which that's a guy that I think should be out there right now just to get fresh with the team and get the systems down. And then he didn't have Pullman out there, which I was kind of like, oh, okay. Well, maybe they're seeing how OEL works without Pullman. I didn't know really what his play was there, but he's a great defenseman. Would have been nice to have him there, especially for some of those plays. But
and that's one thing I have noted here. I have OEL was paired with Myers, which...
I hate that pairing. Absolutely hate it. Sorry.
I get what they're going for, right? It's two
big
guys, right? Like
Tampa Bay laid the blueprint. Have big defensemen. And I get that, but Tyler Myers and OEL just doesn't work as a combo.
Yeah, and the way Tampa Bay does it is with a Norris Trophy winning defenseman.
Yeah, you have Hedman. We don't have Hedman, I'm sorry, but...
We got Quinn fucking Hughes.
Yeah, he's going to get there one day.
So that was interesting to see those two paired together. I forgot to check out the starting lineup before this, and when I saw that I'm on the ice, I was like, what is going on? Like, I thought somebody took a penalty or something, but
no,
that was just a pairing all game.
Yeah.
They didn't look awful, so but again, it's a preseason game.
And there was some guys that I just felt could have been in the lineup to help us through that game, and they just weren't there, and I just chalked it up to that, really.
Again, players I wanted to see, Podkolzin, Rathbone, OEL, and Jason Dickinson. Jason Dickinson took a 4-minute penalty very early in the game.
But I really liked his game.
Me
the
too,
entire
yes.
game.
Yeah.
He played with an edge, and I really liked that.
Yeah, the penalty he took was like... It was a high sticking, and he split the guy open. He didn't really... He wasn't like reaching for a puck or anything. It was just a weird position on the stick. Yeah. It was just...
When he made connection with the body, the stick kind of spun up and hit him. That's going to happen sometimes.
I'm not saying it's not a penalty. It's just it wasn't vicious or anything like that. It's just 100%. Unfortunate. But yeah, he was great. He was physical. He was fast, which is what you want to see, right? Like, I get a vet like that knows he has a roster spot locked down. Like, maybe your first game or two, you're taking it easy, because I wasn't really
But he was
impressed.
not.
But yeah, he was good this game.
He was trying to impress, and him and Big Mac laid a huge hit behind the net, and I was loving it.
Yep. Yeah, and just like Demko looked really good on that first power play. Like, he was sharp. He wasn't scrambling. He just looked like Demko, which is what you want to see.
In my opinion, Demmer with the shaved head is another animal. I think he's going to come out to really prove something this season. When I seen he shaved the salad off, I was like, oh no, he's coming to kill.
And actually, since you mentioned that hit by Dickinson and Big Mac, that was on Jarrett McCann. That like sparked something on the ice, because that shift, if you had the puck, you were getting hit. There was 7-8 hits. Like,
big hits.
Yeah, anytime somebody had the puck, you were like getting hit. Which they had that noted. Very physical game.
They keep saying on the broadcast that they're going to spark this huge rivalry, and that type of hockey will spark a rivalry. Yeah. 100%.
And as much as like I hate them being like, oh, they're rivals now because they're so close and all that shit, right? Like,
it'll be fun.
This game got heated. Like, it definitely, like, especially if there's a playoff series between these two, like, it could
be big.
Yeah. Could get intense, could get nasty.
Yeah.
And then there was a great power move by Podkolzin, and just put the moves on some crack and then drove a puck to the net hard. Made a great deke on the net. Almost scored, just lost the puck a little bit at the end.
Just missed the post. If he would have just been inside that post, it would have went directly in. And I thought the goalie seemed really pissed off after that, because you notice he's propped up and pushed Podkolzin. Yeah. And I was like, oh, you're mad because the young boy put the moves on you there. And that's exactly what I want to see Podkolzin do. I want to see him have that confidence in front of the net, really drive the net and score goals.
Yeah, and this was by far his best game. He looked good. He drew 2 penalties, one on that play we just talked about. So that's what you want to see. I think with him, the biggest thing, like, Green had a talk with him at some point before this game here, and with him, because he spent so much time in Russia where he wasn't allowed to make a mistake, or he wasn't playing, I think he's just used to that, right? Like, you have to play perfect hockey, and he doesn't have to here, right? Like,
he can play with a little bit of an edge and take chances, and that's going to get him goals.
Yeah, you can be creative with the puck. You don't have to just, like, point A to point B, right? So I think kind of him recognizing that, we'll see better efforts from him in the next couple games here. So it's good to see that from Pods, and want to see him keep it up.
Yep.
So yeah, that was it. There is a game going on right now between the Canucks and Oilers, which is not loading for us here. So we're kind of just hanging out talking about nothing right now.
I was hoping to kind of react to a period here, but it's just not coming up yet. But we'll see what happens.
So we're kind of hammering all my points out here. One thing, I do think JT Miller is going to start the season at center, just with Brandon Sutter not being available around or any real info on him.
That's another guy I would have loved to see in the Kraken game.
Yeah.
Our last game there. Like, why the heck isn't JT Miller in the lineup?
Yeah, especially like at this point when you know he's going to be the third line center.
Yep.
Like, let's
give him his practice at center.
Yeah.
Let him really get some pucks back to the boys and give him some confidence. So I don't think his confidence is shaken at all at the center position. It's just, it's nice to get into a fluent role.
Especially too, like, this year he's not going to be the number 1 or 2 center. He's going to be your third line center. Let's put him in that role and start him like on the right path early, because Miller as your 1 or 2 center doesn't work. We saw it last. Like, he's a good player, really good player, but on the wing. Like, center is just not his thing.
He plays really well with Petey.
He does.
Like, super well. Those two just mesh for some reason, and so do Brock and Petey. I just feel like Brock and Millsy don't really jive as well as Millsy and Petey.
I see your point.
But either way is fine for me.
So, yeah, to me, it's basically set in stone that we're going to go Petey, Bo, Miller, Dickinson is how it's going to be here.
I'd like to see that.
So that kind of throws some like wrenches on the wings, right? Because who do you put with Petey and Brock on the top line? Obviously, Pierce, Bo, and Hoglander are your second line.
I think JT Miller has that spot cemented. I don't think they mess up the Lotto line whatsoever.
He's going to be the third line center.
With who, though?
That's what I'm asking you right now.
But that's the thing. I feel like it's Brock, Petey, Millsy, but I don't know if they play him at center. Maybe, since we have the injury, they play him at center.
This is exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay.
This is what I'm talking about.
Okay, I'm sorry. I got lost in the sauce a little bit.
Right.
But, so if he's a third-line centerman, who's on his line?
Podkolzin's got to be there. He doesn't have to be there, but you'd imagine Pods.
Two playmaker type. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That jives.
Then, do you put Garland there, or do you put Garland with Petey and Besser, or do you throw like a...
I think you put Garland with Horvat, but I know Pearson just stole that spot back, kind of.
Yeah, so you can't. This is... Basically, Travis Green is telling us what he's doing here.
Yeah.
Because he's not going to...
No, that's true.
If he's not running that line, they're not going to play together.
Yeah.
And he knows what they do.
I don't think there's any way that they play Petey, Besser, and Garland. I just don't see it happening. Oh, that's such a tough one.
Podkolzin, Miller, Garland on the third.
Yeah.
Then do you throw like a Nick Patan on that first line? Like,
we have such a stacked lineup this year. Like, you'd think Garland is in the top 6, but really the way it lays out, maybe he's not.
And just because of that one injury at center. Or, they pick up a decent fourth line guy on waivers and we don't have to worry about this, right? Because with Brandon Sutter, injuries are a thing. So more than likely this won't be the last time we hear about him being on the shelf this year.
No.
But yeah, and then on that fourth line, like, DiGiuseppe's there. Dickinson's there.
And I like DiGiuseppe.
Yep.
Had a solid game. I noticed him quite a few times. He just played with an edge as well.
Yeah.
Like you said, just winning every puck battle along the boards. Any opportunity he has to really get in deep and try to make a play, he does it. So I really like to see that.
And I think 100% he's in the opening night lineup.
I think so too.
But then we still got guys like Justin Bailey, Justin Dowling, Zach.
I'm not real high on Bailey. I think he's a really fast skater. I like the guy. It's just I don't see him fitting into this Canucks lineup right now.
I thought that he really started to show some stuff before he got hurt there.
By Lucic.
He looked like he was having a good game and like maybe starting to put things together. If you can get a good 10 minutes out of him a night on the fourth line, like him and Mott could be really fun to watch.
Because they rip.
Yeah,
they're fast skaters.
Who cares what old man Sutter does, right?
And that's the thing. You need someone who can keep up with Mott's pace because he's so fast and he can just make a play out of nothing.
Yeah.
So you kind of need a guy who can keep up to that pace.
Yeah, and then like 30 seconds later, when Sutter gets in the zone, he can rip a shot on that because that's what he does.
And that's the thing. If I seen Bailey on the fourth line, would not be mad at that at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a little bit picky when it comes to players, and I just feel like maybe he was starting to string it together. Maybe you do give him a few games to get his feet wet. Maybe he starts to get better again.
It's just we got a lot of... That top line wing spot right now is the hardest one to fill, and we have such a logjam of good third and fourth line guys, and one of them has to get bumped up, or else you're kind of reshuffling everything.
100%.
And maybe they do roll with somebody at center, like I don't think DiGiuseppe would be at center, but like a guy like that, like maybe they throw Nick Patan on your fourth line center and just leave the Lotto line together and balance everything out like that.
Wouldn't be mad at that either.
No.
Green has a lot of options this season.
Yeah.
Like, I think they gave him a lot to play with.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to be a fun season.
But just the way practices have been and the way he's run his lines, like JT Miller is our third line center right now.
Yeah. And that's the thing. If they get rid of Gadgeovich, like he must be seeing some good stuff out of some of these guys, right? Like I thought he was the most promising prospect that we have. Like, I was so excited about him, and then all of a sudden they just cut it. Like, I was shocked. I thought that was a bad move, but I mean, they must be seeing something that I'm not. So prove me wrong.
Yeah, that one sucks. And especially, like, we talked about this last episode too, there's always that Todd Bertuzzi factor in Vancouver, right?
Yeah.
Like, for whatever reason, it just seems like this city and this team, no matter who's running it or coaching it, like, we're always looking for that, like, next power forward.
Yeah.
Like, we brought in, like, Steve Bernier, Taylor Pyatt, Zach Cassian, Jake Virtanen, like, all these guys that can be that power forward, can be.
And Jake, we wasted every effort on the kid. Like, every single effort on him, and he just absolutely spit in the organization's face.
Jake had a lot of chances. Definitely had a lot of chances.
Don't get me wrong, Jake, I love you, but it just, the way that ended it put a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, like when Jake was going, he was fun to watch, but it was few and far between.
That's the thing. Some nights you could tell he was trying. He would just snipe bar down from way outside the hash marks. You're like, where is this on a night-to-night basis?
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Just the effort too, right? Like, it was not just the goal scoring, but the effort. Like, some nights he's fast, so you always notice him, but he's just never physical or won't take a puck to the net or anything like that. You know?
And then all of a sudden he starts driving the net, and you like jump on the edge of your seat because you think he's about to score a goal, and it didn't always score those, but at the end of the day he's making a threat to the other team, and I love to see that out of him, but he just never turned out.
And at that point, when you're a third line guy, really what you want to see is play defense as little as possible and cause some chaos around the net. And,
power forward.
Yeah, and Jake could do that once in a while, but not often enough. So, solid Jake Virtanen talk. Another thing I wanted to mention, not current Canucks related, but past Canucks related. There's been some talks this year with Mark Giordano being claimed by the Kraken, that the Flames are, obviously looking to name a new captain. Might not happen this year. We've seen that a lot in the NHL recently, where a team will wait multiple seasons.
They'll go for assistants. Yeah.
That Chris Tanev has been a name thrown out there for the captaincy of the Flames.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I really thought it would have been
Tkachuk.
No, not Tkachuk. I think he's stuck as assistant captain forever. Monahan.
Yeah.
That's exactly who I thought they were going to name captain. I think he's kind of the guy, but I would really like to see Chris Tanev. I never even thought of that, but he's a veteran player who always shows up.
He's always been underrated.
And just blocks every shot he can. Yeah. Like, he's a warrior.
And a very Sutter type player. So.
Yep. And if you think about it, they just had a defenseman as their captain. They might be looking for that similar role, right?
And he's got term left too, right? He's got 3 more years, so he's not, unless he's
not
hurt
going
or something,
anywhere.
Yeah, he's going to be there. So.
Yep.
And he showed last year, like, he's not fallen off a cliff yet, even though he's held together by glue and nails at this point.
We love Tanev. I'd love to see the C on him, honestly.
I'd be very happy with that.
At the bare minimum, assistant captain. Guy's a warrior.
He deserves it. 100% deserves it. And then, first view of Alex Edler on the ice with the Kings. Very weird. Very, very weird to see a guy who spent like 15 years in the blue and white and green playing for the Kings wearing number 2. It's just
so weird.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. While we're on the number train, let's just do this too. So it's weird seeing number 21 be good. So weird.
I don't know why he took Louis Eriksson's number. Why, Hog?
Well, it was his number in Sweden, right? So,
but still, it's just really hard to watch that. You see 21 winning battles and
after 5
making
years,
chances.
What is this guy doing on the ice? And now it's
the complete opposite.
You're like, holy shit, 21 is good.
Louis Eriksson, you ruined 21 for us, but Hog's about to make a resurgence for that number.
Same thing with 18 too, right? Like Dickinson,
I like seeing him in 18.
Yeah.
By Jake Virtanen, now we got Dickinson. Really happy to have him on the squad. Plays with an edge. I love that.
Also, speaking of Louis Eriksson, I wish I would have saved this, but I did see on Twitter after Louis Eriksson scored his 3rd goal of the preseason that some Canucks fan was like, this season's over. Louis Eriksson has more goals than Hughes and Pettersson combined. So Whoever that was a good one, and I appreciated it. I wish I would have liked that, but I did not. So. Yeah. But yeah, if Louis Eriksson scores 15 fucking goals for the Coyotes this year, I'm going to lose my mind.
But, I feel like we kind of destroyed his confidence as a team.
He scored on us in his first game as a Canuck.
I totally understand, but, you can tell the Coyotes are trying to boost his morale by, putting him on the cover of that page and stuff like that. And I feel like they're trying to give him, a mental advantage, whereas we just kind of said, if you can't perform, you're done here. And he did not perform. No. So he was done.
He did not perform.
He was terrible. Absolutely terrible.
For everybody listening, I said that right. In Louis Eriksson's first game as a Canuck, he scored on the Canucks. Empty net, power play, threw the puck in our net, tie game.
That's a fact.
First game. That we should have just got rid of him right then and there.
Yeah.
That's just an omen.
And can't remember what game it was. Completely missed an open net. Wide open net, misses the net. If you're in the NHL, you're missing open nets. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry.
But, yeah, he didn't... I don't know why it didn't work out for him. He came here to play with the Sedins. He played with the Sedins and just nothing happened. No. I don't really understand it. There's no reason it shouldn't have worked. There's no reason he should have been as bad as he was, but he was just not good ever at any point.
And honestly, I feel like Greener, he's just the type of guy who rewards players that plays good, and he wasn't playing great at the time, so Greener just straight up benched him.
Yeah.
And I think that just destroyed his mental confidence, and maybe Coyotes are trying to boost him up, and now he's doing a little bit better, but we're not here to hold anyone's hand. Either you perform or you're not on the ice.
Especially when you're a vet, too, right?
Exactly.
He was not a rookie. He was 10 years into his career at this point.
Exactly. So. I like Greener's style of coaching. I think he's the man, and I think he's the guy to guide us to a cup. So,
yeah, weird Louis Eriksson tangent there, but he was
had to do it.
Yeah, a large part of our team for the last 5 years. So, and again, he got into 7 games last year because he was just terrible. The only time he got in is when we were decimated by injuries.
And the fact he made $6 million, that's why we're going on about it now.
Yeah.
It was just a ridiculous contract for a trash player. And maybe he's not actually trash, but $6 million, way out of the question.
Yeah. And, as much as we were ragging on him, hopefully he is happier in Arizona, right?
Yeah. Best to you.
Yeah.
Just, you're not a Canuck. Simple as that.
You were a bad Canuck. But again, maybe he's just fresh start. He's happy in Arizona, right? Nobody's in the building watching him play. Nobody's dissecting his game every shift, every night, every second. So
he's not in the Canadian market.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah. So thanks for a mediocre to horrendous 5 years, Louis. After we just said we weren't here to bash players.
We're sorry. We just had to. It was built up frustration.
Yeah.
You have to understand.
So yeah, and now it's kind of crazy the way you look at the team now too, right? 2 years ago, Louis Eriksson was our highest paid player, and Tyler Myers at $6 million, and now we're kind of taking that next step with the kids, right? Petey, Hughes, Besser, Bo.
We're trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
We're cutting off the fat, and we're going with the good.
Yeah.
You know?
So yeah, it's just the kind of turning over the team to the full on now. This is a new team, right? No more Edler. There's nothing left of the 2011 run.
Nothing.
It's just...
Bo is the longest lasting Canuck now, and he's the captain.
Yeah.
No better way to do it. He's going to lead us to a cup. I believe in it 100%. Let's go, Bo.
Yeah, when a guy like Besser is I think he's the third longest tenured Canuck right now.
100%.
I feel like he was a rookie 2 years ago.
And now he's a vet. And I like to see that. Even when he was mic'd up in practice, I like how he was shouting at the boys, laying it on him. You should be doing this, do that. He's one of those guys now who's going to set a precedent, and he's going to pave the way for the boys. Yeah. And I like to see that.
And I think he realizes that too.
Yeah, he's taking that role on.
Yeah, because he is one of the leaders on the team now, right?
Yep.
We got guys like Bo and OEL, but Besser has only been a Canuck, right?
Yeah. If he was a couple of years older, he would have an A on his sweater. 100%.
Yeah.
it's just because of his age. Like the Canucks, they like to go with a little bit more mature guys for the letters, which Bo, they know he's just trending upwards. That's why they gave him the C. But, I mean, you're going to see either Millsy or Mizey or one of those guys.
Talk about that, yeah.
I think OEL deserves the A.
Yeah, I think you're pretty dead on. It'll be between OEL and Myers, I think, on the blue line.
Yeah.
And then I think Sutter is going to get one.
He had one on lock last year. Wouldn't mind seeing that. It's just the injuries.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that kind of sets that back. And while he's gone, someone else will wear that letter.
Yeah, and like you said, Miller, but I don't know if Miller ever gets a... Not that it's a big deal, but just...
It's literally just his penalties.
And he's got a temper, but...
He does.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only thing that holds him back. He's a veteran guy. He scores goals, amazing goals. I think if he didn't have that temper, he'd probably have an A on the sweater, but at the end of the day, I like that he plays with that edge.
Yeah, I think part of that, too, is he wants to win. Everybody wants to win, right? But
he's ultra competitive.
And especially in his situation too, right? You see the team that traded you go win 2 Stanley Cups. Like
that's frustrating.
He's probably like just fuming to get back into the playoffs and like go on a run.
Win the damn thing.
Yeah.
And Petey's right there with him. I think obviously Bo, everyone is, but I think this year we're going to be really hungry to at least make the playoffs. After this year, we're looking to win a Stanley Cup. There's no doubt about it. I think we're right there. We're right on the edge, especially with OEL and Garland in the lineup. And I think this is our best shot.
It's funny to be talking about playoffs, and we did this in the first episode too, and everything, and like before the regular season started. But that's what it is for this team.
We're looking to the future.
Yeah, and the way our team is built too, I think we have those playoff guys. Like PD was a point a game. Miller was a point a game. Bo Horvat had 10 goals in the playoffs. Like
monster.
We don't have guys that are just coasting when it comes to the playoff time. Like they want to win. Brock was in a bad season when we were in the bubble. I think he's definitely a playoff guy too. Like, and Demko was ridiculous.
Lights out.
Yeah. So I really do think if we get in the playoffs, we can do some damage. We can go. There's a run at some point for this team. I think like every superstar in the league has a run in them at some point. Like as much as I don't like the Oilers, like McDavid will have a run at some point. Like him and Draisaitl, you know what I mean? You see like Ovi, Sid. Like very rare is it that guy doesn't get their run, right? Like even Joe Thornton had a run. He didn't win it, but you know what I mean? Like. They all
get their shot.
Yeah, like if you're a top tier player in the league, it seems like it's just bound to happen. And I think PD has the drive to drag us to a cup final at some point. So and hopefully this time we win it in Game
7. We pray to God.
I've been reading a book from Thomas Drance and I can't remember the name of the other author. I'm sorry, but it's 100 Things Canucks fans should know or do before they die. And in it, they say that the Canucks are the only team in NHL history to go to a Stanley Cup final, go to Game 7, and lose twice. So that's how we roll.
That stings.
Yeah, it does. The 2011 is the high and low point, I think, for me as a Canucks fan. Like the Burrows goal against Chicago still gives me chills when I see that on highlights. Like I just every time, like
because you remember it.
Yeah. And I remember just like the anxiety and animosity of going up against the Blackhawks again, and then them tying it up, and then like that goal is just gives me chills. Then Kessler like single-handedly destroying Nashville, like making Carrie Underwood cry. And then like against the Sharks, like the Bieksa goal that sucks because you don't get to celebrate it because you don't know if it's in or not because it was a weird one. Bounce off the stanchion, like it was like the funnest playoff ride that ended in the worst way. So hopefully the next time we get there, we're lifting that big bitch instead of watching another team do it. Yeah.
And I think we're right there. We got the team to do it.
We're getting there.
We're going to make a run.
At some point, I think so. We do need to fill out our defense a little bit.
But that's the thing. With the OEL signing, Quinn Hughes... We have Tyler Myers. We have Poolman. this is the strongest D-core I can remember in a while. Like,
yeah.
full-on D-line, right?
Probably since the 2011
That's
season,
what I
right?
mean.
Where
And we got big guys on the D.
Yeah.
So, like, let's make a run, boys. Like, let's get her done.
It's also kind of sad that it's been that long since we've had a good D-core, right? Like, the 2011 run, we had Ehrhoff, Edler, Salo, Bieksa. Like,
Beast.
That's a good top four right there. So, the top four now is nothing compared to that, I don't think. Like,
but we have the pieces to at least do damage in the playoffs. And anything can happen in the playoffs.
I agree with you.
That's the most famous quote ever. So
especially when you have a goalie get hot.
Exactly. And Demko's the man. He's going to bring us to a Stanley Cup. I believe in you, Demmer. Yeah. Loved how you shaved the salad. Let's go.
Definitely ready for the Dem show.
All right.
Yeah, well, I think that's going to wrap it up.
100%. That was a great pod.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for viewing once again. You guys have been tuning in, and I love to see the support. Thank you very much. Comment on the episodes as well, just to tell us what we could do better on.
Yeah, what do you think of the new setup? And hopefully there's no bugs in this one too, and everything uploads smoothly. And again, you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, Google.
Everything.
And, sorry, we kind of had to do an early episode, but it's a preseason game. You'll get over it. So.
Exactly.
All right. Thanks for tuning in.
See you guys.